Beauty, welcome back to my channel. Today we're here to talk about my Nonfiction November TBR. Nonfiction November is a readathon initiative that was started by a book olive a few years ago, and the objective behind that is to read more nonfiction during the month of November, but also to develop an appreciation for nonfiction, so maybe you'll read it more during the rest of the year as well. A book olive, when she initially talked about Nonfiction November, it was to get people to read more nonfiction than they normally do. So if you don't read any nonfiction at all, to pick up at least one nonfiction book during the month of November. And if you typically read more than one, that you will read maybe exclusively nonfiction during the month, or some place between those two extremes. In previous years, I haven't been reading a lot of nonfiction, but this year I have read and loved a lot of nonfiction titles, and I made another video a few days ago where I shared some of my recommendations based on titles that I've read and loved recently. So today I'm going to be talking more about the books that I am planning to read during November, and maybe in sharing some of those titles you'll get other recommendations here as well. So Olive, in her announcement video, shared 4 words that we can use as prompts to kind of whittle down our TBR and respond to those 4 words in some way as we come up with books that we want to read during the month of November. Those 4 words are time, movement, buzz, and discovery. Now you want to go back down, okay? Just don't hit your head, okay? Now you're coming back. Time, movement, buzz, and discovery. For the time category, I have chosen 3 books that look at time, chronological time, or history in some way. The first of those is The Sixth Extinction by Elizabeth Kolbert. This was a Pulitzer Prize winner a few years ago. And this one talks about the 5 major extinction periods that have happened in Earth's history and how we are now in the 6th extinction, the period in which human activity has changed life on this planet in a way that other major events have changed it. Neither Snow Nor Rain is a history of the United States Postal Service. Was written by Devin Leonard, and this book was on my Nonfiction November TBR last year, but last year I had a brand newborn baby, so I didn't get to all the books that were on my November TBR. But this year I'm hoping to read it. Baby's a little older, a little bit more independent. Hopefully I'll get a little bit more reading done. Neither Snow Nor Rain talks about the history of the United States Postal Service, and there's been a lot of controversy in the last few months as we talked about the United States Postal Service and how much it contributes to our current life. You know, we can acknowledge what the Postal Service did for the beginnings of our culture in this country, but a lot of people don't believe that we still need the Postal Service because we have other rival delivery services. When we were talking about delivery of ballots to vote in the general elections that are upcoming, I think is probably the time that most people had an opportunity to reflect on how much we still need the USPS. So I'm looking forward to reading this one and developing my own appreciation for the United States Postal Service, and maybe I'll learn a thing or two to share with you here as well. So that is another book about history. And then we also segue into The Patriots by Winston Groom. This is a look at Alexander Hamilton, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, and the making of America. These are 3 of the founding fathers who were responsible for coming up with the tenets of our democratic system here in the United States. And I think as now we're thinking and talking about where we are in our democratic process in this country, it might be a good time to just revisit how much things have changed and how much they remain the same, or whether there are things that still should remain the same as they did 250 years ago. The Patriots by Winston Groom. This is a gift from the publishers National Geographic, and so I'm going to be definitely reading this one to review in the next few weeks. So I'll give you a brief synopsis of the synopsis in the dust jacket. It says, when the Revolutionary War ended in victory, there remained a stupendous I don't read with my glasses. When the Revolutionary War ended in victory, there remained a stupendous problem: establishing a workable democratic government in the vast, newly independent country. Groom tells the unique story of how three brilliant men, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, Alexander Hamilton, emerged from a population of just 5 million to build the very foundation of the United States. I think this is going to be a very interesting read. And very timely. So, these are the 3 books that I'm looking forward to reading, or at least choosing from, during the month of November to respond to the prompt of time. For movement, I have interpreted movement in lots of different ways. The first book that I wanted to read is a nature book entitled Arrival of the Fittest, How Nature Innovates, and this one is by Andreas Wagner. This is nature writing, and it is about Darwin's theory of natural selection and how animals move in response to climate change and physical movement, but also evolutionary movement, I suppose. I bought this one a few months ago, and I've been really wanting to get to it, so hopefully I'll get to this one in November as well. I also have a book that I got as a gift from Doris at All the Books, and this one is Lab Girl by Hope Jaron. Hope Jaron grew up in rural Minnesota and discovered a love for science based on how she was raised. But it also talks about adventures that she took. I'm reading now from the synopsis in the dust jacket. It says she found a lab partner and best friend in this wounded man named Bill, and it says there's sometimes rogue adventures in science takes them from the Midwest across the United States and back again, over the Atlantic to the ever-light skies of the North Pole and to tropical Hawaii, where she and her lab currently make their home. So this is movement in pursuit of scientific discovery. So this one could definitely respond to a prompt of discovery as well, but I'm using it here for movement. And then I also have a book that was another gift from the publishers, this time from Penguin Random House. This is Oak Flat, A Fight for Sacred Land in the American West by Lauren Redness. And this one is talking about how Native Americans moved from their land and the struggle for ownership. It says this is a powerful work of visual nonfiction about 3 generations of an Apache family struggling to protect sacred land from a multinational mining corporation. The author is a MacArthur Foundation winner, Lauren Redness. This is her picture. I don't know if she herself is Native American. I don't think so. But I am loving the feel of this book and the look of this book. Like I said, it is visual art, and so this I think is going to be a quick, easy read. But I love that there are illustrations, and oh man, I am so here for this book. So this is Oak Flat, A Fight for Sacred Land in the American West. This is my 3rd book to respond to the prompt of movement. So that's time and movement. Now we get to discovery. For discovery, I have a book about space. This is Cosmos, Possible Worlds by Anne Julian. This is another gift from the publishers National Geographic. It says, in these vivid pages, we learn how science and civilization grew up together and how they are lighting the way to our future. I think that's what this book is about. From the emergence of life on Earth and the deep ocean vents some 4 billion years ago to a future in which multi-generational interstellar ships sail to other parts of the galaxy, visiting worlds as yet unknown, Julian explores where we have been and where we are going. This one's a little bit more dense, but it does have full-page color photographs, so that breaks up. It has a lot of photographs as well, so this definitely breaks up the text, and I think it's going to be a relatively easy read. For discovery, I also have another book about history, which this one, my husband read it last year, and I've been trying to read it ever since. Picked it up once, and I read a few pages, but I didn't get very far. And, you know, my husband is a big reader, but he doesn't get to read as much recreationally as I do. And so I like to read the books that he has read or is reading so that we can talk about them. our own little book club of sorts. And so he really enjoyed this one, and there were points when he was reading it and he would just laugh out loud and chuckle, and I wanted to be able to share that experience with him. So I'm sorry that it's taken me so long to finally get to this book, but I'm definitely trying to prioritize it right now. Confederates in the Attic by Tony Horwitz. Tony Horwitz is another Pulitzer Prize winner, and this one is about the unfinished Civil War. He revisits the Civil War in this book and talks about how some of the principles of the Civil War are still ongoing. So in this one, he talks about people who are reenacting scenes from the Civil War. And so he talks about hardcore reenactors who crash diet to resemble the starved Confederates and spoon in ditches to stave off frostbite. My husband bought this one last year when he and some of his friends visited Gettysburg. So I'm looking forward to rereading this one. I don't know a lot about Civil War history. I feel like there's a lot more that I need to learn. And just understanding not just the history, but also discovering why some people hold on to that past so firmly. So this is part of my discovery for that reason. My last title for discovery could also fit other prompts. This one is another book by David George Haskell, renowned nature writer. I read and recommended his Forest Unseen in my previous video, my recommendations video. So this is another title that was recommended highly by Doris from Aldi Books. And so I'm looking forward to getting to this one. The Song of Trees, Stories from Nature's Great Connectors by David George Haskell, who's a biologist, like I said, and nature writer. And in this one, he visits a lot of trees in different places. He explores connections with people, microbes, fungi, and other plants and animals. And he takes us to trees in cities from Manhattan to Jerusalem, forests in the Amazon in North America and the boreal forests, and areas on the front lines of environmental change. And in each place, he shows how human history, ecology, and well-being are intimately intertwined with the lives of trees. So that's my discovery response. And because I've held up the other two stacks of books, let me do it here again. Maybe one of these is going to be my thumbnail. And then last but not least, for the buzz category. For buzz, I'm interpreting buzz as bees buzzing, other insects maybe buzz with the fluttering of their wings as well, but also buzzworthy topics. So topics that are trending, like Black Lives Matter was trending during the summer. So I have a book that talks about Black Lives Matter as a hashtag. This is The Purpose of Power, How We Come Together When We Fall Apart by Alicia Garza. This is also a new release gifted to me by the publishers Penguin Random House. And in this one, we learn about Alicia Garza, who in 2013 wrote what she called a love letter to Black people on Facebook in the aftermath of Trayvon Martin's killer being acquitted. And in her letter, she wrote, "Black people, I love you. I love us. Our lives matter." So I'm looking forward to reading about Alicia Garza, who is an organizer, political strategist, and cheeseburger enthusiast. So I love that they wrote that in here because, you know, sometimes we tend to think about people as one-dimensional, that because she's an activist, all she is an activist. No, she also loves cheeseburgers, as do I. Already, we have two things in common. Also, for the buzz category, I have another book that I bought recently and I've been wanting to get to. This is The Wood for the Trees, One Man's Long View of Nature. This is by Richard Forte, and I'm choosing this for the buzz category just because there's a beetle on the front. It could be a bee if he had a different color, right? The premise of Richard Forte's book is very similar to David George Haskell's book, The Forest Unseen. In this one, Richard Forte purchased some land and 4 acres of woodland in Oxfordshire. Did I pronounce that right? Oxfordshire in England. And over the course of a year, went to visit it periodically to see how the land was responding to being left to fallow, I think, is what he did. And then my final title for the buzz category is A Honeybee's Heart Has 5 Openings by Helen Jukes. I don't have a physical copy, so I'm going to be reading an e-copy from my library. And I think it's good to have at least one electronic copy on my TBR, just because I'm not always able to hold a physical book, as you can see. So it will be good to have at least one e-title that I can open when my hands are full. And A Honeybee's Heart Has 5 Openings was written because Helen Jukes received a gift of a bee colony, I think. And this is about her learning how to take care of those bees in England, in Oxford, I think is where this book is set. So, looking forward to getting to these two, as well as my ebook. And all the other titles that I have just talked about. Those are the 12 books that I'm looking forward to reading from or choosing from during the month of November. Would love to talk with you in the comments down below. Let me know what's on your TBR. I can't lift up all these books. A lot of them are hardcover, so we're just going to leave them here and say thank you so much for watching this video. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more. Let's chat in the comments. And until next time, until we come back for another video, happy reading. Bye!